Hi guys, welcome back. This is part 6 of the Common App Guide, and today we're talking about the writing section, aka the essay section that everyone keeps talking about. Whether you love writing or not, this is your chance to tell your story in your voice. Okay, so here's where it gets important. First, you'll see the personal essay prompt. You'll choose one out of 7 prompts provided here. You can read through all of them and then see what story might fit one of those prompts. At the end of the day, it can be any essay, since here it says share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. So basically, it can be about anything. Topics include your background, a challenge you've overcome, a belief you've questioned, something that you're just really passionate about. And this essay is super important. This is where admissions officers get to know the real you. And they only have so much to get to know you, so really put a lot of time into that essay. We're gonna get to how you write a really good Common App essay and college-specific essays in a different video of this series. Today it's just about the general section, how you fill it out, and what you need to look out for. You also have to know that the maximum words allowed are 650, which can be quite tricky. I think the essay that I wrote used to have over 3,000 words, and then I had to reduce it to 650. So yeah, you might think it's a lot, but let me tell you, in the end, it's not. And it has to be at least 250 words. And then let's jump to the additional information. This can be really important too. First of all, you can tell them something about how COVID-19, the disease, the pandemic, has impacted you. Maybe it made your grades worse. Maybe you were suffering under the COVID-19 pandemic. In a specific case to you, maybe some of your family members died from COVID or anything like that, you can include here, and it will be considered in your application. If you got a bad grade because you had homeschooling, if you, I don't know, just about anything that includes the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact that it's had on you, you can write down here. I personally didn't do that because the COVID pandemic didn't really change anything for me. I was homeschooled during COVID, but it was all fine for me. And then it says, do you wish to provide details of circumstances or qualifications not reflected in your application? So if there's anything that you haven't mentioned yet, but you think is still important to tell the admissions committee, something that you've achieved or something that's part of your life, part of your story, but you couldn't find a different spot where you could put it, this is where you're gonna do that. As a German, I wrote down the following. You can just read through it. So first, I was mentioning the counseling limitations, since in Germany or in Europe, I think nobody really has a counselor. Americans have a counselor that help with applications. I do not, and that's a disadvantage. So that's what I wrote down. I also wrote down that I'm a first-generation student. I also considered and mentioned, even though this is quite obvious, but I still wrote it down anyways, that my recommendation letters are from teachers whose native language is German. I included a certificate that I did want to mention in the honor section. I mentioned my psychology research project that I did during high school, because this is going to make me stand out from the applicant pool. I mentioned commuting challenges that I have. So even something like commuting challenges, if you have to take the bus to school, you're losing time throughout the day, which you could use to volunteer somewhere. And if you don't mention that, they're going to think, oh, why did that person not volunteer anywhere? Maybe it's because you took the bus 2 hours to school. Nobody knows that unless you write it down, and this is the section where you have to write that down. So really think of anything that has impacted you in your academic career during school. I clarified why I put my courses under the course section under honors, at the level of honors, even though we don't really have that system in Germany. And I also clarified the reasons for my gap year. So just additional information the admissions committee can read through. But just include the things that are really important. Don't include any unnecessary stuff, otherwise they're gonna get pissed at you. They don't want to read any more information that doesn't have any meaning to it. Make sure to start early with the essay and write a lot of drafts. Ask for feedback from a teacher, from a friend, from your parents, just if they're being honest with you. And most importantly, just be yourself, so that your voice comes through. I'll also post videos on how to brainstorm and edit your essay drafts, so stay tuned for that. Also make sure to give this video a thumbs up if it helped you, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Bye!